Hello and welcome back to another video. So this is the first monthly update in my 2024 Backlog challenge. So it's for the month of January, and I'm going to run through which games I played, which games I beat, mini reviews of each, and just generally how we got on, clearing some names off the backlog in January. Before I go any further, you may notice, ta-da, I have a new mic. So before this, I was just using the general mic built into my webcam that I use. So hopefully there's a bit of an upgrade in the audio quality in this video. So if there is, if you think there's, please drop a thumbs up just so I know that it was worth investing in this piece of kit. I haven't gone top of the range. It's still a USB mic, but it's one of the, according to reviews I looked at, one of the best USB mics you can get. I've gone for one of the Sennheiser ones. I don't know what make and model it is. And this is my very first video using it. I've just literally done a couple of 1-minute audio tests just now, and I'm straight in. So fingers crossed I don't get to the end of this video and have no audio and have to do it again. But yeah, let me know. But without further ado, let's get straight in to what I played in January. So I'll run through in chronological order what I played, and I'll do mini reviews for ones that I'm finished with. So the first game I played, which I technically started in December, was Baldur's Gate 3. I'm going to skim over this very quickly because I've only put about 20 hours in. I didn't actually play much in January, but I plan on continuing playing this game. So when I do either retire it or beat it, I'll do a mini review on it then. So moving swiftly on, the next game I played and did beat was quite a surprise, actually, a nice surprise, was the Crew Motorfest by Ubisoft.
In this case, rally racing is the best, brah.
So I really enjoyed the Crew 2, and it was actually in one of my most underrated games videos. And I think this one's better in some ways than that one, and worse in others. So they basically just blatantly copied Forza Horizon, the Forza Horizon games. That setup where you've got an open world to race around. They even have the festival vibes going on, and you can rock up and do different kinds of races, whether they be off-road, road races, and that type of thing, different events. And then you can just drive around collecting collectibles and doing speed traps and all that type of thing. It's basically just a complete rip-off of Forza Horizon. But they've done a good rip-off of it. It's a very passable game. It's not quite at the same level as Forza Horizon. But if you like that type of game, like you don't like the track racing, sim racing, but you like an arcadey racing game, and you're bored of kind of Need for Speed, and you like the Forza Horizon format, then I think you'll very much enjoy this game. It's got a huge repertoire of cars. The good thing about this, well, I say good thing, it's good that it's there. You can race and fly boats and planes in this game. I did find, though, that the events for those I found quite boring. They weren't that fun. The planes go ridiculously slowly considering they're planes. The boat racing could be fun at times. But I found myself begrudgingly doing those races just to kind of tick them off rather than looking forward to them. But the car racing and the physics of the car racing are really well done, and I think they're definitely improved over the Crew 2. So yeah, it's a very passable racing game with a lot to offer. So the main bulk of the game is working your way through playlists. I think they call them playlists. But they're effectively like series of races. So you might have one that focuses on Porsche. You might have one that focuses on off-roading. And they've got or like one that focuses on American muscle. And you've got, I think I can't remember how many, but at least 10, maybe a dozen playlists. And it's a live service game, so they're constantly adding to them. And each playlist has about 8 races in there, some less, some more. And I think that the main bulk of the game is that. So I made my way through all but 2 of the playlists, and the only reason for not doing those is I think they might have been ones that were added later on, and you needed to enter them, you had to own a certain car, which was a very expensive car for 2 different ones for each playlist, and I would have had to grind out to get enough credits to buy those cars. And by that time, I felt I'd done all of the other playlists. I'd kind of had my fill of the game. But yeah, that's the bulk of the game. You'll play through the playlist. In the playlist, you actually don't. So like most racing games, like Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport, Gran Turismo, you will buy your car and use that to race in the series. They do it slightly differently here, which at the start I wasn't so keen on. But you will get loaned a car to do the race, so you don't have to own the car. And then you'll do the series, and with the cars that they give you. And then once you've done the series, you can then replay them or do multiplayer with cars that you own or unlock. But I didn't like this to start with, but having played through the game for a while, I quite like it because it forces you to race with lots of different cars, which is good because you get a feel for which type of cars you like and which ones you might want to purchase. And you can go back and kind of play them again once you've completed the playlist with your own cars if you want to. Later on, there are series where you have to own particular cars, but this is very much a live service game, really. So I played through all the single player. I put just over 21 hours, so 21 and a half hours into this game, mainly just mainlining the playlist, and I did a bit of multiplayer. But there's same as Forza. Every week or every month or so, there's new kind of challenges for you to do where you can unlock cars, new races, new things you have to do, just continuing live service stuff. So if you're not on the game for a week, you'll miss out on unlocking a certain car or certain cosmetic, that type of thing. So if you like live service type games, something to keep you coming back week after week after week, then this is a good game for you. And the multiplayer, I didn't play much of, but I thought was quite good as well. There's not a lot of options, but they've got event. What's it called? It's called the Grand Race or something like that, where there's loads of you, like 30 odd. It's chaos, and it's raced over 3 stages, and you'll have 3 different vehicles. So it might be you go off road, then a street racing car, then like a GT racing car. So it's split into thirds, and you'll race, and then at a certain point your car will just transition into the next car, and then the third. So you're racing different vehicles across the race, and they're beefy races, like 10 to 15 minute long races. And as I say, it's great fun. It is chaos because there's kind of 30 odd drivers and you're just constantly getting bumped into and things. So it is, don't expect kind of high standards of driving, but it's good fun. There is definitely, this is where you'd want to grind and get your own cars and things, because I noticed going in just with my starter cars, I was struggling to get in the top half because the people at the front had their leveled up, souped up best cars in the game and were just flying. I couldn't literally keep up with them even on a straight. So there is that, but it was good. And then there was a Destruction Derby multiplayer option as well, which is, as the name suggests, which is like a battle royale. You're in teams and the circle closes in. So they've copied a lot of ideas from other games, but the circle closes in and you've just got to bash into other cars to take them out, and there's pickups. You can turn into a monster truck with certain pickups and things, but that was quite fun. I only played a couple of games of that just to see what it was like, but this game has a lot to offer. I got it on sale at half price. It seems like a game that's going to be on sale a lot coming out. I reckon in a year or two you'll be able to get it really cheap. Whether the live services and the community will still be as active then, I don't know, but I really enjoyed this game. I give this game an 8 out of 10. So for anyone that likes racing games, I'd say it's worth a go. Next up, I played. So that was digital, by the way. Next up, I played Call of Juarez. So this is on the Xbox 360, and this is a series I've been meaning to play for a long time. So I thought I'd start at the beginning. This is the first game in the series. I think there's 4 games, and I've seen quite a few reviews of later games in the series on like hidden gems lists and games people recommend on the Xbox 360 and things. I think there's a reason that the first one is never mentioned in those lists, because I did beat this. It took me about 6 hours to run through the main story, but it was a bit of there was a couple of occasions where I did consider retiring it, but because it's such a short game, I thought I'd plough through. So it's a Western game, cowboy Western game. Their unique spin on the game is that you play as two different characters that are going through the same experience, through the same story. One is basically chasing the other one, and each level you'll alternate between the two and see their perspective of what's going on. And this allows them to have different gameplay for the two characters. So one is a Mexican guy who is more stealth orientated and has a bow and arrow and that type of thing. And then the other is like a proper, as a traditional Western gunslinger who has dual wielding pistols, and he has a slowdown mechanic, so you can, kind of slow down time, and your reticules, your crosshairs will slowly go across the map, and it gives you a chance to shoot loads of different people in kind of a split second, which is quite useful. The gunplay in this feels okay. It's not brilliant. It's definitely a game of its time. It's I don't know if it was a release game. I'm not sure it was, but it's a very early game on the Xbox 360, before everyone started copying kind of Call of Duty kind of style shooting. So it feels a little bit clunky. There is some platforming elements in the game that feel very clunky. This is when you're playing, I've forgotten his name, Billy. Yeah, so the guy that's wrongly accused of murder is called Billy. When you're playing as him, he has a whip like Indiana Jones, so you can latch onto branches and swing across gaps and that type of thing. But it doesn't feel satisfying or fun to play. You jump up ledges and stuff, and everything just feels slow and awkward. You're never confident of whether you're going to make a jump or make a gap. I think the game would have been better if they didn't have those platforming sections in there, to be honest. And there's some stealth and things in there, which again doesn't work particularly well. The game looks kind of average, like a budget game. But the things I did like about it, the shooting when you're in the flow is quite fun. It's not the best shooting in the world, but it's serviceable, and I did have quite a lot of fun when it was just the pure shooting sections. And the story is kind of semi-interesting, kind of passable to play through. As I say, it's a short game, it's only 6 hours. But I would only recommend this game if you are someone that likes to play through a whole series of games. So it's the first in the Call of Juarez series. I have a feeling the later games are going to be better. I am still going to try and still play the later games because I think they do improve as they go along. Or if you're someone that really likes Western games and you've played all the better ones that there are on offer. It's definitely one that it's not one that I would say is a must-play by any means. But there are some moments of fun. The next game I played this month was Deliverers of the Moon. So this is one that has been on my backlog for a fair few years now. I bought it in one of the Xbox sales that always comes up, and I can never resist picking up a few games when those deep sales come up. So this is a narrative-driven adventure game to, as you might have guessed, the moon. You start on Earth and you go on a bit of an adventure, making your way to the moon, and then you're kind of on the moon's surface, exploring, solving some puzzles, and kind of unraveling the story as you go. The basic premise of the game is that the Earth was struggling. I can't remember exactly why, but it was struggling for power. So they went on an expedition to the moon. They started harvesting hydrogen and other things, and made a power plant, basically a modern futuristic power station on the moon that was powering the Earth. And then one day there was a blackout, like a ceasing of communication from the moon to Earth, and the power was cut off, and that kind of screwed over the Earth. And it's been 5 years since that blackout, and nobody knows what happened, where all the people that were on the moon have gone. Are they dead? No one knows. But the power's cut off. And then there have been some rescue missions before, but then they failed, and now you are going up to the moon to try and solve the mystery of what has been going on. have no idea why you go by yourself, but you do, and that's how the story starts. So it's very much narrative driven. You're kind of unraveling the mystery of what happened to everyone that was on the moon, why the power went off, everything that's been going on, and you learn this story through journal entries, quite traditional, and holograms, so actual voice acted kind of little mini cutscenes, but they're holograms, so there's not a lot of action in them, but you get the voice acting, so they're quite fun to watch, and the story is decent. That I'd say that's the main reason to play this game. You kind of unravel things as it goes along, and there are a couple of twists and turns in there. It's a decent story. And in terms of gameplay, there's no combat or anything. There's some puzzle solving. There are some occasions where you can die. It's kind of like platforming puzzle solving where you're trying to avoid like electricity or fire, or you're in space running out of oxygen and you've got to get from point to point within a certain amount of time. And all of those can be quite fun. There's nothing outstanding in this game. I'd say if you're someone like me, so I like space and NASA and space exploration and all of that kind of sci-fi stuff, or kind of modern day space exploration, then there'll probably be some things to take from this game, because you are kind of going up to the moon and going on the moon's surface, and it's quite a cool environment to explore. But if you're not a fan of space, then in terms of the gameplay front, there might not be much to it for you. But as I say, the story's good. The puzzle solving and exploration is passable. It's a solid game. I'd say this game for me is a 7 out of 10. I'd recommend it to most people, and especially if you're a fan of those kind of narrative driven adventure style games. Right, so those are the 3 games that I beat. I've started 2 since then, but I haven't finished them. I'm only just starting them, so they should be finished in February. But those 2 games are Metro Exodus on the Xbox One and the original Assassin's Creed. Neither of them, obviously they're on my backlog, so neither of them I've played before. I thought it'd be good to go back to the beginning of Assassin's Creed. And I've played the first 2 Metro games through the Metro Redux collection, really enjoyed them, so I've been meaning to get to Metro Exodus for ages. I will do the reviews of them in the next month's one in February, assuming I've beat them by then, which I should have done. So for now, I'll leave it there for them. But yeah, so just to recap, I guess technically, including Baldur's Gate, I've played 6 games in January, beaten 3. I haven't retired any yet, so that's quite good. So that's 3 games beaten on the backlog already, when, if you saw my first video, the introduction to the 2024 challenge, I only beat 8 games off my backlog for the whole year. So we're starting quite strongly. This didn't feel... I reckon this is probably going to be average in terms of the amount of games I beat in a month. I didn't play a huge amount, but I was playing kind of fairly regularly. So I reckon 3 or 4 games is probably a good target to set myself per month going forward. So one of the rules that I made at the beginning of the backlog challenge for this year was that I didn't want to inflate my backlog. So I'm a collective game, so I like to kind of collect and add to my collection, as you can see behind me. But one of my rules was I could only buy a new game to add to my backlog once I had beaten a game. So I beat 3 games this month, and I've used 2 of them to buy 2 new pickups. So the first one is Redout on the Xbox One, which looks like a F-Zero type racing game, like high speed, futuristic. Just looks like a semi-decent racing game, so that's one I'm keen to get into. I should say one of the reasons I'm buying these type of games is I'm looking at games that aren't that popular in terms of print runs and things, and picking them up now while they're cheap, because I'm not saying that this one necessarily will, but I assume it's had quite a low print run, and it's probably the type of game that, give it 5-10 years, will have gone up quite a lot in price. So I'm trying to get hold of those type of games now. And another one I think might go up in price in future, because RPGs tend to, is Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition for the Xbox One. So I've never actually played a Tales of game, but I do have now a few of them. I've got one on the 360, I've got this one, And I think I might have 2 on the 360. Anyway, I've got 2 or 3 lying about now in the collection. So that's a series that I do want to jump into at some point, and maybe one this year. One of my goals I didn't actually mention to him, but I do want to play through and finish a JRPG this year. So I haven't quite decided which one yet. But yeah, potentially a Tales of game. Anyway, yeah, moving on. Okay, so thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying these style of videos. I plan on doing them every month for this year, and we'll see how we do at the end of the year. Yeah, let me know what you think of the audio. I think there's probably some settings and things I can tweak to improve that even further. As I say, it's my very first time using the mic, so we can improve on that. And let me know what you've been playing this month. I'd be really interested to hear if there's any games as well on my backlog. Watch the last video if you want to see my the master document of my full backlog, where the 2024 backlog challenge, the video is called. If you've got any games on my backlog that you think are must plays that you definitely recommend, then let me know, because I'm more likely to jump on a game if it's been recommended, especially hidden gems. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you like the video, please drop a like and consider subscribing if these are the type of videos you enjoy, because as I say, I'll be doing them every month for the remainder of this year, definitely. So yeah, thank you for watching, and on to the next one.